All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network. San Francisco Giants lose first game of the last homestand of the season, 6-5 to the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll break it all down for you right after this. Let us thank our sponsor of the show, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, licensed in all of California. Our sponsor, Chapman Law Group. Give them a call, 415-613-9483. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. Make sure you give them a call if you got a personal injury situation or any other legal matter. But personal injury, you could be leaving thousands of dollars on the table if you don't give Chapman Law Group a call. So make sure you do it. All right, guys. At this point, maybe we should just let the music play for the next hour and call it a night. And just, I don't have anything to say. Couple of good things, I guess. Ramos, Devers hit home runs.
Ramos does a lot of hitting home runs. The very first at bat of the game, the first pitch of the game, and then either they stay away from him the rest of the game, or he just, I don't know. If you look at his 19 home runs, how many were hit in the first inning? Seems like a lot of them.
He also made a bonehead move. They could have probably still, when he ran out of the inning, when he got basically went past first and got taken out.
Yeah.
It was that, and then I thought the other one was Bailey. The guy never had a shot at double. He just thought he had a double. He had his head down. He didn't even know where the ball was. I thought tonight was like both teams played tonight, and you know why they're not playoff teams. It was more like a spring training game, a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, a lot of bad baseball. And, when you look at their records, you know why. Tonight was an example. And again, I think probably 75% of it is they don't really care because they know they're not going anywhere. They're looking toward golf. But it was a tough game to watch. Am I right, Dallas? A little bit, just a lot of mental errors and a lot of mistakes.
It was. it was a tough game to watch. You're just kind of waiting for it to be over with, It's like, I want them to come back, I want them to win the game, but I just don't have much faith in it at this point. And especially, the Giants hit some runs in the first few innings, but then they from the fifth inning on, they had one hit, I think.
Yeah. And you go up 4-2, we always talk about the shutdown inning. The dreaded fifth, as we've experienced. Our pitchers get to the fifth, and it's unbelievable. They just fall apart. And if you look at the Pen played well tonight, but and I think you got to give Verlander a little credit. He was due for a bad game. His last three starts were unbelievable. I think his ERA was .46, and he got a little bit, and he sort of couldn't get out of that fifth, and he was never in control like usual. And, before you knew it, a 4-2 lead, all of a sudden you're down 5-4. It was tough. And then, just some mental errors. Schmidt's error was tough. What are you going to do? You can't win when you're just giving the other team extra outs. Chapman on that throw, he almost had two today. He got lucky. The second one was an error, but the first one, I thought he threw a high throw again, but Devers just, beat the guy by an inch. So, usually when for a guy to be that solid defensively, when he almost has two throwing errors from third, when the ball's hit right at you, that tells you that, they're mentally done. And I think it all comes back from the road trip. When you look at the road trip, would they go 2-6 or 2-5? Yeah, 2-5. And easily they could have been swept. They were lucky to win both games, the one in extra innings, and then the one, they won yesterday 3-1. And I think they're tired. You know, as Dan pointed out last week, they don't have a day off till Thursday, and I think they really need it. I think they're on fumes.
Lowe says,
Yeah.
good Lord, boy, 78 and 84 is in play. I'm retiring if I hit that one on the spot. I just want 80 for the over, but I don't think they're going to get much more than 80 at this point. What are they, 77 and 80 now? They could end up 81 and 81. This team will probably do something in all the casuals. Hey, what a finish. We made it to 500. Let's run it all back. Hey, I want to show you guys, Senior, if you're in here, I think you are. I don't want you to comment. I want to see how many fans in the chat that I have that are actually heads up baseball. Okay. So Senior, I know we've already discussed this, so please don't comment. Let me know before I play it if you're still listening. Let me know if you got this message. I'm going to play a video, and I want you guys in the chat. I don't want my co-host on here to say anything either. I want to see if anybody picks up on this in the chat or not. I see Giovanni's out there. I don't expect him to figure it out. Okay. Here's the video. Are we ready? It's on a play. Here's the play. All right. Anybody see anything there on that play that needs addressed? Anybody? Not the co-host, though. We'll give it one more play or run of it again. Here it is. Watch close. Of course, I didn't think you would figure it out, Giovanni. No, that's not it.
He made the play close. Good thing he was at second.
Philip is half right. No stretch. I want to see how good. Come on, my chat. Come on. There we go. There we go. Yep. Devers, wrong foot. Wrong foot. No. Schmidt didn't have the wrong foot on the bag. What do you – come on. You always use your left foot because could you imagine Schmidt using his right foot and then come on. Schmidt, wrong foot. Giovanni, I didn't figure you'd figure that one out. Wrong foot, guys. I played first base a couple times in Babe Ruth. If you're athletic, you use your left foot, you're lazy or you're not athletic enough. Come on, that's just 101. You learn that in Little League to use your right foot.
Well,
and then
just imagine you have a glove on your hand and then imagine stretching out. Which foot are you going to want to use to get the maximum stretch?
Guys, this is an issue with this team. Devers is playing first base. Yes, he's still learning it, but you learn that early on in baseball. I mean, the first time you go out there and put your foot on the bag, you just gotta. I mean, I'm just kind of shocked that a big leaguer would use the wrong foot, and that's probably why he didn't stretch, because he couldn't stretch. But if he had the right foot on the bag and stretched, still might have been safe, but it would have been closer, and it might have possibly got him. This is what.
How about Chapman's throw that screwed everything up?
Yeah.
He should have got an error for that. It was lucky he didn't. He almost threw it in left field. If it wasn't for Schmidt, they were lucky to get the one.
Yeah. What do you think of? Why do you think they used to call Willie McCovey Stretch? Because he was such a force at first base, and he's stretched. I mean, look at Dom Smith. We lost him on the season due to a huge stretch play that
running out.
Yeah, but Devers, as senior says, he can make the picks because he's a third baseman by nature. But you got to have good footwork, and this is something that could be an issue going forward. Schmidt didn't use the wrong foot. In fact, Dan loved Chapman. I'm just going to ban you because I don't like your name. See ya. Come up with a different name if you want to come back in the chat. Dan loved Chapman, and you're just in here to rip on Casey Schmidt. Whatever. Out of here. Yeah, you're gone. You've been banned. So come up with another unique name. If you want to rip on guys, fine. I don't care. But you're just making no sense, and you're not very sharp when it comes to baseball. Okay. So why do I point this out and get hit on this? Because the Giants next year are going to have an issue with, if Devers says he wants to play first base, you're forcing Eldridge at 20, 21 years old to be an everyday DH. And I don't think that's healthy for a young player. Some people may disagree. I think it's better once you get established, because if you're striking out a lot and you're struggling at the plate, the last thing you want to do is be thinking about your next at bat for 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it takes to come back up the second time around, and then the third time. You're just sitting there, where if you're in the game, you forget about it. You're focused on on the defense. Look what the A's did this year. They had Brent Rooker as their left fielder. They had Tyler Soderstrom, or I think his first name's Tyler. Soderstrom playing first base, and Langoliers as catcher. Both Soderstrom and Langoliers were drafted as catchers, but they both got good bats, so they wanted to make room. They made room for Soderstrom to play first. And then when they knew they were bringing up Nick Kurtz, what did they do? They transitioned Rooker to the DH because he's a veteran and he's like 30 years old and he can handle being the DH. And they moved Soderstrom to left field to make room for Kurtz. They could have had none of those changes and just made Kurtz the DH. But Kurtz, who's going to be American League Rookie of the Year, they made him a priority to play defense because they know it translates to better offense when you're that young. I'm just a believer that your head's more in the game when you're playing. Now, if you're just a crappy fielder and you can't play in the field, that's different. But if Devers says he wants to play first base next year and that's it, and he's adamant about it, you're hurting the team, in my opinion, by making Bryce just a DH.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to play them both, and they'll flip-flop them, and then the person who's going to get the lion's share of the playing time at first base is going to be the person who turns out to be a better defender. If Bryce is a better defender than Devers, then he's going to get time in the infield. So I don't know. I think Bryce, I mean, he looked fine last night. Having that big tall target over there, I think it's good. And apparently, just listening to all the people on the radio today, he's made strides and he's becoming pretty good first baseman. So I think he'll get playing time at first base because obviously they would prefer to have Eldridge play first base because it's a waste for him to DH.
It is.
And Devers is a seasoned veteran. I mean, he's kind of a prototypical DH, just his body type and how he looks and everything. So and how he hits. So I think he might play 1 or 2 games a week in the field, and then the rest on the DH is how I would do it. But we'll see.
All right, hold on here for a second, guys. For the last 3 months, we were talking about Devers being better because his mind was playing the field. You don't think Devers deserves to be the starting first baseman? My God, look at the stats. You're talking about offense. Devers is the most important part of our offense. Do we admit that? He's the most important part of our offense. He deserves to start. You guys are worried about a young kid. We don't know if Eldridge can play. He's only played less than 2 weeks. Devers should be the one that says, okay, I'll sacrifice. You guys are making it like, oh, well, Eldridge deserves a spot. No, I think Devers deserves it. He's the best bat we have. And we saw him as a DH. He wasn't as good. Now that he's playing the field, he's come around. And then why do we make the trade?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe I think what could be a better option is if, it depends on how well Devers plays at first base as well. But if you could move Eldridge to left field and put Ramos as the DH, maybe, Eldridge is pretty athletic.
Yeah. The only thing is that Susan Slusser, as much as a homer as she is, says that Eldridge doesn't have the skills to play the outfield.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know crap about baseball. Susan Slusser is a joke. Okay, I'm tired of hearing about, and not to you, Dallas. I'm just tired of Susan Slusser. What she says, she doesn't know jack about baseball.
But she's parroting what she hears, and if she
doesn't do research. We've got video that we played on this channel right here on NorCal Sports Network that Senior softball games put together on his YouTube channel and sent it to me with Eldridge saying he wants to play outfield. He used to play center field, and he says, but he saw himself as a corner in the majors at the next level. Look, who was playing right field tonight?
If he can do that, that'd be great.
Who was playing right field for the Cardinals tonight? Guy by the name of Jordan Walker. Came up as a third baseman, 6'6". You see how big he is? How about who was playing who was DHing for the Giants tonight? Was it Encarnacion or was he playing right field?
No, Eldridge. He DH'd.
Eldridge.
No, okay. Right field was Encarnacion, 6'4". How about Aaron Judge, 6'7"? How about James Wood, 6'7"? Okay, Eldridge is very athletic, and people that don't think he can play outfield, that's crazy. The Giants are a short-sighted organization, in my opinion, because look what the A's did. They made room for Kurtz. Kurtz could have just been the DH, and everybody would have stayed in their regular spots. But no, they moved Soderstrom to left. They moved Rooker out of the outfield. They moved 3 guys to make room. So Kurtz, who plays first base, and he's pretty good at it, and he's a rookie. I just think making a DH out of a 21-year-old is foolish because they are going to struggle. They're going to struggle for a year or two. And if the Giants can't figure this out, this is really Buster's created this because he got Chapman and he's got Devers and he's got Eldridge. He's responsible for he didn't draft Eldridge, but he's the best player in the organization coming up as far as, and I don't think you could just say Devers has the job because he wants it. If he's not good enough, if Devers is the better defensive if Eldridge is the better defensive player, you got to play him. How about that throw tonight that Chapman threw and went off of whatchamacallit's glove. Well, wasn't he at first base yesterday, Eldridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you see this target, and I'm not making excuses for Chapman, but if you got a big 6'7" guy there that's got a 7'2" reach or better, and you got Devers who's probably got a 8 inches less reach, 6 to 8 inches less of a reach, he would have had that ball for sure. But that's an error still on Chapman. But
I mean, Chapman is not throwing it high because last night it was a tall guy there. He should be throwing it the same every time.
He should, but it does throw it. It can. I mean, Chapman's experienced enough. You're right. He should be. That was a bad throw, but I'd rather have a 6'7" athletic target over there than whatever. What is Devers, like 6'1", 6'2"? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if he's that, but.
Don't you guys think Devers, maybe with the offseason, the guy's only been playing two and a half months? If you remember at Boston, he was playing third. So you got to give the guy time.
Yeah, he'll get better.
I think he's an above average first baseman. I think Devers, especially once he settles in there, regardless of what foot he used tonight, he's been fine there. And I do worry about injury. You don't want him to pull a Dom Smith and stretch out and pull a hamstring or whatever, or there's plays where you catch the ball off the base and then you have to turn your arm, and try and swipe tag, and then you get hit. There's certain plays that are a little bit dangerous over there at first base. People can get injured, and you don't want that for Devers. But you're right.
Hey, Robert Rothberg that's a good comment right there. That is something to be more concerned about. Starting pitching and making contact. Good one. I like that, Robert. Very astute. Very astute. So,
but Lou is right. If Devers wants to play first base and he's good there, then he should be able to play there because he's the best hitter on the team. And if he's not a liability at first base, then you got to give him a chance there.
If Melvin's staying, he's starting at first because we heard the same thing about Ramos, how bad he was in left. Oh, but dude, he can hit. Who else am I going to use? That's how Melvin thinks.
That's true.
Now, if Melvin isn't there, but also I think, one of the things about Eldridge is he's going to have a whole offseason, to get ready, for first base and other positions. I think the one thing about the Giants is we have so many holes. If I were Eldridge, first baseman would be second because I think we need a whole new outfield. You got to have to make adjustments, just like, Dan was talking about the A's playing players. If you want them both, then you got to do something. I don't think both of them might not be productive as a DH, and if you play them in the field, especially when we need outfielders, what wasn't the guy drafted as an outfielder, or he said he wanted to be an outfielder when he was in AAA and AA?
Who's that?
All of a sudden he's only first base. I could have sworn he was playing.
They just made him a first baseman. That's all they did. Look, the Giants have been short-sighted.
Well, he was a pitcher.
Yeah. Giants have been short-sighted. The only good thing I think the Giants have done in a long time in their development is quickly making Eldridge a hitter only and giving up on the two-way. That was a very smart move on their part because trying to do both stunts your development in one area. Now, do you think they're tiptoeing around Devers because of what happened in Boston and they're trying to placate to him?
It's weird because in Boston, he didn't want to play first base. And now he wants to play first base. It doesn't want to DH. So I don't know if they're worried about that or if we're just making too much of it and he'll just do whatever they want.
I think in Boston, he didn't want to play first base because it was get even. Like, you don't want me to play third base because you're bringing in Bregman, and I'm an everyday DH, you told me, and then they lose Tristan Casas at first base, and they have a hole there, and so they say, we want you to play first base because we lost our first baseman. And he's like, no, you said I'm an everyday DH. To me, that's a problem. I think it's a problem that the Red Sox didn't communicate well with him, and to me, it shows that he can be kind of petty and that he wasn't a team player after they gave him a huge 10-year, 300 and whatever, $50 million contract or whatever the thing is. He's got 8 years left after this year. This is year 2 of the contract. He just signed it a little over a year ago, and here he is. And I think that's why the people in Boston were like, good riddance, get rid of him. And look where they're at. Boston's in the playoffs. And what did Boston do? They brought up young players, Roman Anthony. They brought up, I'm drawing blanks, but a couple other guys. Their second baseman they brought up, and then they brought up Marcelo Meyer. Some of these guys still have more development to do. It looks like Roman Anthony's the one that's stuck the longest. But, that's something that they got to look at. Now, and look at this. This is what makes the most sense for me is Devers. Who's a veteran player that could play the outfield but is chosen just to be a DH? It's a pretty dang good one. It has over 50 homers 2 years in a row. Shohei's doing what's best for the team. He's just hitting. Look, he could.
Shohei wants to play the outfield now.
He'd like to, but he's playing DH, and he has learned how to. They have these in the clubhouse. Underground, they have these batting cages with these pitching machines. Guys can just go work on certain. They can set it to the pitcher's range of motion and set it, and you can just work on what that pitcher's throwing. You could say you could do that probably for Eldridge too, but I think it's more in line with what a veteran can handle more. We'll see.
You're talking one of the greatest players of our generation.
Who, Devers?
Ohtani.
Ohtani. Okay, I didn't know.
So let's not compare Ohtani. I don't think either of these guys can hold Ohtani's jockstrap. So
no,
let's just
what I'm saying is not. I'm saying that he's figured out how to just mentally become a DH.
But also, don't you think he's doing that now a lot more because of his pitching? People forget he's had what, 9 starts?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it,
yeah.
But you guys might have a point. I'm just saying, I just think Devers, the guy has 33 homers, 106 RBIs. We're talking about this team that needs offense. I just think Devers, after having this year, and I think it's a lot better playing first, you got to give him the first call. Now, maybe this offseason, maybe he will be more of a team player because obviously he wasn't in Boston. But, you also don't want to just say Eldridge is now our first baseman. Then you're going to go through the same shit that Boston just went through. You made the big trade for him. He's adjusted to first base, So,
I've been on record saying I'm been for the Devers trade, but I wouldn't be at all I don't know. I'm a little mixed because he was an awful third baseman with Boston, right? He led the league in errors. He was bad. And then I watch him play, and he sometimes makes some pretty nice plays at first base with stabbing the ball, and he makes some good catches. But then he does some really odd things as well. I don't know.
Dan, are you up for trading him in the offseason then?
I would be torn. You'd have to get an awful good haul back of players for me to consider trading him because Giants haven't had a hitter with his capabilities since Bonds. And you can't get one in the free agent market. So that would be really biting the bullet on that, so to speak. If you said I'm getting back some really good players that are proven. But I think Devers is probably going to be here for the long haul. I
hope he is.
I think he'll be here for the long haul. I don't see the Giants really trying to trade him, and two, I don't think too many teams want that contract in baseball. There's only a handful that would probably take it. I
think we're making a lot out of it. I mean, you have the DH. It's not like you had to make room for McCovey and Cepeda and you have to move one to the outfield. You got 2 spots for 2 people. And then if you want to put Eldridge in the outfield and have Ramos DH, if Eldridge can play a little outfield in spring, and maybe if they think he has a chance to be a better defensive outfielder than Ramos, then you swap those guys. But you have three spots, 3 players. You can make it work, I think.
But wait a minute, you guys all told me the biggest loss of the season was Dominic Smith. What are you going to do with him? Aren't you going to bring him back?
Yeah, it's an issue.
I don't think you. I mean, you can, but you don't want 3 left-handed first basemen.
It's a great issue. Yeah, it's an issue. That's why I think if you ask me what the best option would be move Eldridge to one of the corners in the outfield. Make Dom Smith more first baseman / switch off with Devers at times. And then you've either got to trade Ramos for something of value because he has some value. But I hate giving up on Ramos because he's so young still. He's only 26, and he's just had a rough year in the field. But I think he can bounce back. But I don't think you can have Ramos and Eldridge in the same outfield. I don't know if that works. It feels like it would be just like the corners would be not ideal. You watched the game the other day. Who was I watching? That it was who were the Giants just playing before
the Dodgers? Arizona.
Look at Arizona's outfield. How they were just getting to everything. They had speed
because they have athletes. We have no athletes.
Yeah, we don't have any athletes. Exactly. That's a great point. We have no athletes. There's nobody. Who's the most athletic player on the team? It's probably Grant McCray, right?
Yeah, he's athletic.
Maybe Koss.
And Koss is a decent utility man, but he can't play every day. Lee's got some athleticism.
Sure.
But they don't have any real athletes. Chapman's athletic, but he's also getting older. And he's going to, I don't know. That Arizona outfield, man, they covered ground. They were just all over balls hitting the gaps, running down, caught.
Gilbert is athletic.
Yeah, Gilbert. There's a guy. Yeah, Gilbert's a very good guy in the outfield. Yeah, I think that the Giants would be wise to work Eldridge out in the outfield to get him some reps out there. I mean, who played Game 7 for the Giants in the outfield, left field, in the World Series? Who was that? Was it the righty?
The first baseman from the Pittsburgh Pirates? Is that who you're talking about? Who played our left field?
No, not Ishikawa.
Ishikawa, yeah.
No, not Ishikawa.
The little
Juan
guy.
Perez? Was it Juan Perez?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, they've had some pretty rough outfielders after Bonds in left field.
20 straight years with a different guy starting on opening day.
Something like that.
Connor Joseph, trade back for him. Let's get another retread of Giants.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is going to be next year. It's going to be interesting. I mean, we're talking about next year. This year's done, right? And are they mathematically, or is it tomorrow?
No, I think the magic number is 2. It was 3, I thought. Was it 3 or 6 going in tonight?
It wasn't 6.
I think it's 1 now.
No, because none of the teams ahead of us played.
Yeah, I think it's 1. They could
it was only a half game we would win.
Any combination of a Met Reds win or a Giants loss, because they're 4.
Yeah, I think it was 3, so it's 2 now. Just as Marty Lurie said, I looked at the schedule all year. I knew we'd sweep. Again, we look at who we're playing. Do you think these teams are intimidated by us? The only good thing tonight is, we scored, but we didn't have a shutdown inning and we didn't strike out. We ruined the streak. We only struck out 5 times tonight instead of, the usual 12, 14, 14. So, it's what can you do? I thought tonight, like I said, I thought it was a bad game. The sooner the better.
Yeah, this is just a grind actually right now to talk about. But the Giants are I just pulled up the wrong thing. I wanted to look at the standings. I think they're 4.5 back in the wild card, which is we already know they're done, but they're 3.5. Okay. So they basically
4 in the loss column though.
Yeah,
right?
Which makes 80. Yeah, 4 in
which
the loss
5
column,
with the tiebreaker.
Which means the Mets and Reds have to lose 5.
Yep.
Yeah, it ain't happening. But as they say, you go out there and play them all until you're mathematically eliminated, and it should be before the Colorado Rockies come to town, they will be eliminated. So the only thing I was right on this year was that they would be not eliminated till the last week of the season. I thought, a couple more wins in there on that road trip, and they're right in the thick of this thing. But Giants have nobody to blame themselves. They actually, 9 days ago, had a chance on September, 13th, I think it was, whatever that Saturday night, I think it was. Giants had a chance to take sole possession of the last wild card spot, and they got off to a great jump lead in the first inning off Kershaw, might I add. And after winning a tremendous game the night before on Patrick Bailey's walk-off grand slam, you would think the Giants' momentum would have carried them after a 4-1 lead. But it just goes to show you that they are not anywhere near the Dodgers and have and this is where they've got to look at trying to close that gap, and you can do it if you spent the money. The Dodgers aren't going to keep spending money and adding more and more players because they don't have enough players to keep adding, right? I mean, they can replace Conforto.
They probably will.
Year. Yeah, they'll probably replace Conforto. Will they replace him with a Kyle Tucker? That's the one thing you got to, oh my gosh.
No, maybe they
never
would,
know.
But
they might. It might be the last year they could do it because
seems
of
like a foolish waste of money to me.
Yeah. And then, you go down the stretch 3-9. You don't deserve to be a playoff team.
All right, give me your vote. Is this 3-9 finished? Does Melvin get a pink slip, or does he come back?
I think he's gone. I think, you had to improve over last year. On paper, Adames was an upgrade. Devers was an upgrade. This team is better now than they were at this time last year, I think, on paper. Now, they haven't played like it, but I think that Posey has improved the team, and they haven't played. They've wasted the money that he's spent. So I think they need to go in a different direction.
Okay. Before I have you comment, Lou.
I think the Giants are going to be doing the dumbest thing ever. And in April, we're going to talk about it. I think they're going to fire Melvin. They're going to fire Pat the Bat. They don't know what to do, and they're going to let Matty Williams, being a former player and manager, manage the team, and the Giants will finish dead last, making that great move. Because until Buster thinks out of the box and forgets about all his homies, this team's not going anywhere. So with all that said, we're stuck with him. Because I don't think Buster's going to say, oh, well, I gave him that thing, another typical Giants excuse. Melvin will start the year as the manager.
Interesting. We'll see. What do you think of this comment, guys? I wish they'd stop addressing the fans after the finale. They started doing it during the dynasty years and when the mood was up. They've been bad for 10 years now. No one wants to hear it.
I hope they address the crowd and they get booed mercilessly.
Yeah, I like what one guy said that
would be good.
Push stop, rewind, and play of Chapman's speech last year.
Yeah.
When Chapman comes out and starts talking again, everyone should just get up and head for the exits.
I like the booing. If you want to wake this organization up, they need to be booed. And you know what they ought to be yelling? What the A's were yelling. Sell the team. Sell the team. Sell the team. You sell the team to Joe Lacob, I guarantee you the Giants will be competitive quickly because he doesn't put up with losing. He doesn't put up with it. The Giants are fine with this. They drew 3 million fans this year. They're going to have a sellout crowd on the last game of the season still. And people will be, hey, and they'll all cheer. And they're still living, as Louis likes to say, they're still living in the past. This team is living in the 2010, 2014 era. And yeah, this is a good one too. Aaron, that was a great call in the 24. Just put that up on the scoreboard and then maybe put that up on the scoreboard. And then you know what else they can do once they put that on the scoreboard? Everybody can just laugh.
And Dan, one of the things I've seen a couple people bring up JT Snow. I know JT personally, good guy, bear downer. But there's a big difference when you're managing the Oakland Ballers, where if you ask everybody in the chat, nobody even knows what fucking league that's even in. The Oakland Ballers. That's not even a division. I'm not even sure what it is myself, Dan. It's so low. Okay, but there's a big difference to go from the Oakland Ballers with a bunch of guys to ego-friendly major leagues. It's such a difference. Now, if he was part of maybe the coaching staff, I think that'd be a good move because, maybe he's earned it. He's still young. But to be a manager, it's such a big step. That'd be like someone from high school straight to the NBA. So I just want to bring that up. Not that JT doesn't deserve it. I just think the Giants got to start being smart. I think if they're going to do something, ask Cleveland for a trade for their manager. It's been done before. Give up somebody and get a solid manager.
How about Devers and Melvin, or not Devers, for Quan and for votes? There you go. There's your manager trade. Senior says trading Devers would be thinking out of the box for sure. I know I will get grilled for this, but Quan would make this team better replacing Devers. Well, what it would do is you would have Eldridge play first base and replace Devers' power bat. You still have Chapman and Adames, but you would add someone who makes contact, which you could put more in the middle of Adames and Chapman, slide Chapman down a little bit. You're likely to have, you're going to have a lot less home runs, but you're going to have a lot less strikeouts. So, and I think if Cleveland were to even agree to that, which I think they only way
Is Kwan going to be a free agent, or does he still have a year? I haven't seen
he's still got some time.
And why would Cleveland want to get rid of him?
Well, Cleveland doesn't want to pay guys coming up. So the only way they would take Devers is if the Giants were paying half the salary. Because
I mean, they could use another superstar. I mean, they win tomorrow, they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to tie the Tigers.
Superstar. I mean, it's ridiculous. One superstar in that team.
Yeah. So I don't think the only way Cleveland would consider the trade is the financial. They're not going to. They would not pay for more than 50% of that salary. So you'd be like $14 million a year. They might consider it at that point. But
do you think there's another way to do it, like trading Ramos and some Johnny Level and some of those low A-ball guys that are pretty good?
You could possibly do it like that. I was looking at the values tonight. I think Kwan has a trade value, surplus value of like 40 or 41, and Ramos is at 20. So you'd have to.
You're halfway there, huh?
Yeah, you're halfway there, right? Devers is not even in the positive value because of his contract. He's considered a negative, and so I'm not really sure. Vince says Ramos and Schmidt for Edwards and Alcantara. That would be not a bad deal. Xavier Edwards is an excellent player, would be a great second baseman for the Giants. He's athletic. He can hit 300.
How much is Alcantara due? Isn't he $21 million? 2 more years? I mean,
I'm not sure how much he's got left.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's a Giants taking a big part of the salary. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I love that trade, but
if there was two, so we agree, everyone agrees that they can't roll the same thing out next year. They need to come up with some changes to this lineup.
They need at least 10 new players somehow.
If there was 2 players you could get rid of the starting 9, who are your 2 that you would find a way to get rid of?
Let me address this real quick. SGA Chardal, $1.99 Sports Talk Channel. He says, I'm a big fan of NorCal Sports Network, and I'm currently at 463 subs. All right. Well, help SGA Sports Talk Channel get another 37 subs, and then he can get super chats on his channel. There we go. All right, Chardal. Thank you. What are the questions? Which 2 players?
Of the starters.
Of the starters,
would you be happy if you got rid of them?
If you could find a way to get rid of 2 of them, how would you? Which 2 do you think they would most benefit from? Switching up. So 2 guys that are not going to be in the starting lineup next season.
My first would be Chapman, and my second. I normally would say Bailey, but he seems to have turned a corner with his approach at the plate. He's just kind of trying to hit the ball now instead of slapping it to the opposite field. The one thing I'll say about Bailey is this. He did not have the chance to develop in AA and AAA. They just pushed him right through from high A, pretty much straight through to the majors. And it was Farhan's doing because he wanted to he wanted his guy, and he was looking for better defense than Bart. And they thought Bailey was ready defensively, but now you could see he struggled so mightily and he even said it himself. He said, I feel like I didn't even get a chance to develop in the minors. So Bailey might be starting to turn a corner where he can be a 230 plus hitter. And you could live with that with his defense. So I'd normally say Bailey, but so I would say if I could get rid of 2, this may sound kind of crazy because they really don't have a right fielder, right?
They don't.
And if it were me, I'd hit the reset button and I'd get rid of Chapman and Adames, and I would get younger and more athletic, and I would just try to say, you know what, if somebody's willing to take those 2 contracts on and you get something back, and I would just start trying to play more athletic, and I would, I don't think the Giants, but I think what the Giants will do is they'll hang on to both because they committed the salary, and I think they're going to be a problem 5 years from now. I still think those guys being on the lineup are going to cause a huge issue for the Giants. And you're
already a problem.
Yeah. And you're going to have these young kids coming up that you mentioned. Johnny Level. What are you going to do when Josar Jesus Gonzalez is ready? Walker Martin, if he somehow makes it. Some of these other younger guys. Why does all these other teams have all these younger athletic players that we never see? I just don't get it. I think this. Look, I look at the A's, for example, and they got this kid DeVries that they got in the Mason Miller deal. The guy's the number 1 prospect in baseball, or number 2, whatever he is. He's 18 and he's killing it in the minors. And there's talk of him coming up at 19, maybe, definitely by 20. And then you're going to have 7 position players or 7 guys in the lineup that actually are pretty good. And they can hit. The problem with the A's people is not their front office baseball people. It's their owner who refuses to pay these guys, and they move off of them. The A's have had so many better players than the Giants over the last 10 years. It's not even funny. I mean, look at what they got right now, the A's. Their outfield, they got Butler and Soderstrom, and their center fielder, they got that crazy guy that makes all those crazy catches. I think it's Clark or whatever. I can't remember his last name, but anyway. And then they got on the infield, they've got Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, who's a 300 hitter pretty much already. And then they're going to add this DeVries pretty soon. And then they've got Langoliers and Rooker. The A's are building something. They've got a couple of pitchers that are close that are coming up. Yeah, exactly. The A's might keep these guys because when they move to Vegas, if that goes through, they'll actually be one of the better teams in baseball, up and coming, and they'll be able to draw fans because they'll be winning, and they'll have the fan support to actually pay these guys. And, and this is what drives me nuts. Who do the Giants have anything like the A's? Eldridge. That's it. That's it. Who's in AAA next year that can come up? Nobody. So I think the A's have a much – I'd swap teams, even their pitching staffs, even though they don't have much of a pitching staff right now. I could build a pitching staff through free agency, but look at the difference of the type of players that they have versus what the Giants have.
But Dan, we have Buster. Giants baseball, nothing like it.
The A's aren't winning either, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, Billy Owens, they could have hired Billy Owens, but no, they went for the in-house easy move, and they hired a guy who actually had the gall to say we're still learning. We're trying to figure this out. I mean, you can't do that in this kind of market. You could do that in Pittsburgh. You could do that when you're not expected to win, like the Pirates and the Nationals and
So
who else?
Dan, I have a question.
And
You
the
keep talking
Rockies.
about this, and I'm in the ballpark. But if you notice, the A's are they're 10 games below. We're 3 games below. So next year, do you think the A's will have a better record than the Giants? Because I think the A's, another year of all these young guys, maybe they get they really only have one stud pitcher who finally figure out how to pitch at that ballpark. They'll probably get another pitcher. Do you think they'll have a better record than us next year? If we bring the same team back?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will, because you remember the A's had a rough stretch. They lost 20 of 21, and they just got into that funk. And if you take that, I mean, it's part of the season. It's part of the 162. So it counts. But their pitching, their bullpen blew games that they could have won and been in first place. They lost to Seattle in Sacramento by blowing games, and it just spiraled into this long losing streak. If they can shore up that pitching.
And Dan, I think you bring up a good point, is they did trade one of the best relievers in the business. The Giants would have never have done that. I mean, Mason Miller was a stud. Devers was not a stud.
Look what they got back.
Yeah.
Look what they got back. They got the top prospect in baseball at 18. I mean, this was the kid, the number 1 international signing a couple years ago. I think he's out of the Dominican, if I'm not mistaken. But at any rate, they are building something that has hope. I don't see the hope for the Giants for 3 to 5 years, because I don't think guys like Chapman get better. I don't know if he gets worse.
Or they'll dress a little bit. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I don't know if Adames, he's been pretty good the second half, but he's kind of streaky. And to me, he's just, usually you see I don't know, he's just too many strikeouts for Adames, and Chapman, and then Devers is striking out a lot. Ramos, Schmidt's kind of back to striking out more. Who else is striking out? They're Bailey for quite a while. I just don't think these guys are. Somebody said it. Maybe it was you, Lou. The athleticism of this team. Yeah, Luis Morales, the pitcher for the A's. I think he's a pitcher. Yeah, he's a pitcher. Yeah, I've heard of that name. He's up and coming. He's close, I believe, too.
We have nobody with the clutch gene and nobody really athletic. We're average at best, and I'm being generous.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Lou. They're average players. These are the type of players that are not difference makers, and you can
They're different makers on someone like the Yankees that have talent, or the Dodgers that have talent. They're the ones that maybe can get you that 3 or 4 extra wins. But when you have 2 or 3 of those guys, they're just average together. They don't make, that's just how it is.
Wow. Okay. He's up. He says he's up. Danny's up now. He will be in the Cy Young conversation next year. Yeah. So the A's are building something. Don Peralta said they should have traded Ray to restock the farm with top talent. Same story since 19. Mad Bum, Rodon, Snell, all should have been traded. Zach Maniason is the commonality still in the organization. Yeah, I don't know why Buster didn't clean house after Farhan. Again, I think the mistake the Giants made, and again, the Giants are more concerned about retaining the casual fans, and they wanted Buster to come over and become this giant, everybody loves Buster, right? And all this great feeling. But making him president of baseball operations, when you fired your president of baseball operations, in my opinion, was a mistake. Because Buster, I don't believe, is doing the day-to-day, everyday job of what a true baseball guy who's been in the front office does. I think that's why he's relying on Zach Maniason. He's relying on the other guy. I'm forgetting his name. Jeremy Shuff, what Jeremy something, whatever his name is. I think what Buster could have done is saying, okay, as owner, as part of the ownership group, I am going to step in and oversee baseball operations on a day-to-day basis. And he didn't have to take the title. He didn't have to take the title. You could have hired a general manager as a promotion to like a Billy Owens of the A's to become president of baseball ops. And then he hires a general manager. And then you have underlings below that. And then Buster as a kind of an umbrella over all of it, but not with the title. He could do that as an owner. Jerry Jones, it's called, of the Cowboys. But you have people that are experiencing running it. You let them run it, but they run everything through you. And then maybe, what I really wanted the Giants to do, I wanted them to hire Ned Colletti and have Buster be under his wing for 2 to 3 years and let an experienced GM like Ned show Buster the ropes. And it's a seamless transition doing that. But instead, they went with inexperience at the president of baseball ops, inexperience at the general manager, and, we'll see. Did Boston pull something on a young, inexperienced GM? Is in Devers? Is Devers going to be the answer? Is he going to be what he's been in Boston, which was what? What was his lifetime batting average? About 275?
I think it was a little bit better than that.
I'm going to look it up.
I think it was a little bit better than that. Well, you know what? Desperate teams and a desperate man are going to make desperate decisions. Devers saw
I personally think it was a good decision. That's one of the best moves Posey's made so far.
It seems like a great move. I thought, and I'm on record as saying it, I thought it was a great move. 276. He's a lifetime 276 hitter. Okay, so if you took Devers' 162 game average, he's a 276 hitter with 106 RBIs and 33 home runs. That's his average. With Boston, he was a 279 hitter for 9 seasons. Since he's come to San Francisco, his lifetime batting average has dropped from 279 to 276. He's hitting 233 with the Giants. 233 from 279. Does that raise any concern to anybody?
Not to me.
Lou?
He'll bounce back.
I think he has no support here. I mean, we criticize how bad Adames is and Chapman. He's supporting him. He's, I think he figures he's in Boston. He had help. Here he has nothing. I think he realizes he's got to do probably 1.5 times the work. There's nobody behind him that can come through. But, he is a good hitter. I mean, he's the only Giant I'll actually watch. I love his stance. When he hits the ball, he'll hit it 116 miles an hour for a single. The other thing, guys, again, Eldridge still only has the 1 hit. So I want to see a little bit more before, we're already, again, announcing how great he is. I expect next year, It's still going to be a lot of growing, pains with him. But, we're already making, like, early in the show, we were talking about, oh, he deserves to be at first base. The guy's gotten one hit so far. Say he only gets 2 more hits the rest of the next 6 games. I know it's very early, but he'll be 3 for like 33.
That's okay.
I know he hits the ball hard.
Willie Mays started off pretty rough too. But
okay, Willie Mays is one of the greatest of all time.
I know.
Eldridge
I'm just saying,
is way down. So
I know. I'm just saying, a lot of guys.
It's a small sample size. They just brought him up to get a taste of the big leagues.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
don't think
even
they're
worried.
expecting him to. But I have been impressed with his at bats. Yes, he hasn't gotten hits, but he's putting together more quality at bats than I expected him to. I expected a lot of strikeouts, a lot of swinging at curveballs and stuff. He actually is showing a pretty good eye, a pretty good poise at the plate. So the results haven't been there yet, but I like what I see in Eldridge.
Hey, what do you think of this? Do you think Robbie Ray and Camilo Duvall would have gotten DeVries? Or do you think they would rather have had Mason Miller?
It's hard when it's in your division. You know what I mean? In your division, I don't know.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
Mason Miller is a stud. I mean, that guy is.
Yeah. 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 Right now, they're just exposing Eldridge to big league pitching. I'm not worried. I'm not worried a bit. I liked one of his at bats tonight. He had an 0-2 count and worked a walk. Showed pretty good plate discipline. We'll see where this thing goes. But
this is a huge offseason for Posey because going into this year, he had some holes to fill. He needed to get a shortstop. He did that. But really, this year was figuring out what you got. You didn't know what you had in all these guys, Fitzgerald and Matos and the Bailey. There's a whole lot of question marks that you had going into this season, and I think in the pitching staff, you had Harrison that had potential, you had Roop that had potential, you had Birdsong that had potential. You kind of have a better idea of what to expect from these guys now, and which is not much. So you have a lot more holes to fill now than I think you even did last year, and he's going to have to fill those holes. And so there's a lot of work for Posey to do this offseason, and we're going to see if he does it, because everyone's right. If you just roll this back out next year, it's not going to be pretty. You need to make some major additions to the pitching staff, to the bullpen, to the lineup, and we'll see if he can what kind of pieces he can add and what kind of rope the ownership group gives him as far as being able to spend some money, and then creative trades. Who knows what he can do with his limited resources in the kitchen cabinet there. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting offseason.
I had a thought, and it escaped me. I'm trying to. Oh, it came back to me. Do you think that, guys? I'm gonna ask you this question. You know how Farhan was so shuffling guys in and out, and nobody knew anybody's name on the team because they were here and gone so quickly. Do you think Buster? You know how sometimes your organizations will be so far to the left and they'll move way over to the right and then they'll correct and go. Do you think he overcorrected in trying to get guys long-term here like Chapman and Adames, and that he just said, okay, we got to have stability. We don't have any stability in this last 6 years. Guys are in and out of here like it's just shuffle them in and out. And all of a sudden, now everybody gets, okay, we got now and Devers. He made that trade for Devers. So he's got three guys that if you look at this roster, starting next year, you got Chapman for 5, Adames for 6, Devers for 8, and possibly, if Jung Hoo doesn't opt out, for 4. And I could see if he has a decent year next year, Jung-Hoo, I could see Buster trying to renegotiate that and get rid of that option and make it do something for stability. Buster seems to want this stability, which can be good if you're, the 70s Dodgers with Say and Russell and Lopes and Garvey and you got this whole guy's grown up but a little awkward, a little different when they're older. What do you think? Do you think he went too far to one side?
I don't mind it, but I just don't like the talent he got. Except for Devers, I don't like the other three guys. And I think in 2 or 3 years, we're still going to have them for 3 or more years. It's not like they're 20s. Like, you got to remember, Devers is still young. These other guys, are older and they're striking out. And, if you look at the baseball card, they never put anything together back-to-back years. Lee's still a question mark. I mean, we basically have half our chips in and we're not even sure if we should ride it or take half of it back. The
problem was the order. When they signed Chapman, they had nobody else, and Farhan was trying to get the Chapman deal done and bring him back, and they paid him. They gave him too many years, and but they were like, well, we have to have at least some stability here, right? So they signed Chapman, and then they give Posey the keys to the car and say, okay, it's your car now. You do what you want. And he's like, okay, well, my number one need is a shortstop. Let's go out and get the best shortstop they have available. He did that. And everyone loved the move. Great move. But, you have two guys on the left side of that infield for long-term contracts and they both hit for a low average and strike out a lot. So that is what kind of did you in there. That's two key positions on the infield that you have long-term, and they're just so similar. One of those guys I think you could have and be fine. But with both of those guys, that when they're both cold, that really creates a problem in your lineup. So that's an issue. And then Devers came up, and you had the option to go get him, and I think you'd be foolish not to, based on what you gave up. So you have him long-term, and if he's going to be playing DH and some first base, and I think you're fine there. It's the first two that you kind of worry about, and having Devers now all of a sudden makes the other two guys a little bit less important. It's not as important to have a shortstop that could hit pretty well. So you wouldn't need Adames if you already had Devers. You wouldn't need Chapman if you already had Devers. You could fill in more complementary pieces that put the ball in play and, make contact a little bit more. So yes, the order of things has caused this lineup to be a little bit, wonky. And then Lee, I hope he steps up and has a good year. I don't know if he will or not. This is his first full year, so we're going to see. But he inherited that one, and
yeah. Do you think
I'm not impressed so far?
You think he's just a mid player right now?
I'd say he's a mid player. He's not a great center fielder. He hasn't been able to hold down the leadoff spot. He can't steal bases. He needs to get better. This
is what I was saying on him last night on the Hot Corner, and I was getting disagreed with. Like, Lee's going to be, he's really good. And I'm like, he's got, 8 homers? How many RBIs? Does he even have 50? He doesn't steal bases. He doesn't run the bases well. He's not aggressive. He doesn't do anything that, to me, he doesn't do anything that warrants people chanting his name every time he comes up. I mean, you do that for stars.
No, he has the potential to. I mean, he could be a very good player, but so far, based on one season, he hasn't done it yet.
All right. And then Philip, we'll get to his comment. How do you let a guy learn on the job when you're trying to compete with the juggernaut down south? Yeah, I don't know.
They give you 3 wild cards, though, I mean,
it's like,
just don't worry about the Dodgers. worry
There
about
you
the
go.
other 3 teams.
Hey, there's a question to think about and chew on. If I'm really going to question, I'm not questioning it right now, but if he starts striking out next year and we're 100 games in and he's striking out at 30%, I'm going to be like, what's going on? What is going on? Because you shouldn't, your strikeout rate shouldn't change that much. And I'm not seeing like Rafi being pitched around a lot at times. I'm seeing him miss balls middle that are just, they're challenging him and he's just striking out.
It's his approach. And it's not like he got older on the flight out west, you know.
Yeah,
He was doing fine in Boston.
I know.
So,
I don't understand it.
So it's
Maybe.
It's the situation. It could be hitting coaches, but you know, mostly guys like him are pretty established as far as what they do. So it's probably not the coaching for him. But it could be the guys hitting behind him.
Older uncle. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe.
And Dan, one of the things I did want to bring up, you know, we put all our eggs in one basket for a guy from the Mexican League. Come on. Are you kidding me? Encarnacion, the guy was from the Mexican League. Now we're talking about Lee, who came from KBO. I mean, I don't know another team in the majors with someone from the Mexican League in the KBO. It's a joke.
That's a great point,
that's
Lou.
the best we could do?
That's a great point. The Giants were so desperate last year for some power that they Farhan went to the Mexican League to get Encarnacion. And I said it all along. I don't think the guy's anything special. When he hits it, it's nice because he's got power and he hits the ball hard. But there's a reason that guys
like Pedro Cerrone, Pedro in Major League. You know, it's just one of the things. But you know, that's the problem with this team. They go, you know, we think they spend money. No, they don't. Encarnacion, you know, from the Mexican League costs us nothing. Then we went to a guy that we thought might be good. Yeah, he might be good in the KBO league, but as Larry Krueger said, the KBO is like AA, AAA. You know, if you look around a lot of our positions, a lot of these guys, and I've said this many times, wouldn't be even on someone's 26-man roster. You know, I mean, I'm just, you know, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And that's the results we're getting. These guys aren't that good, and that's why we keep finishing in fourth.
Yeah, Encarnacion, I mean, he's just, you know, some guy they potentially can throw in there to hit a home run, but he's only played in, 12 games this year?
And then here we go. We talk about something that happened
him
10 years ago. Giovanni, I don't care. I know Petit was good, but that was 10 years ago. Baseball was different when the Giants won the World Series. They have not adapted. That's the biggest problem. You know, it's so different nowadays. And, you know, we're still happy. I mean, there it is. He's bringing up, 2014, we had Petit. I know how good Petit was. Without him, we wouldn't have won it. But that's over 10 years ago. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Raven says it's not Lee's fault. The fans, no, he's a likable guy, and people are behind him because he's kind of a foreign rock star. And so the Giants fans are excited and they want to get behind him. I get it. But my point is, no, it's not Lee's fault. My point is the fans are settling for somebody who's not that great of a player as a major leaguer. You know, he's done some nice things, but they're just, I mean, why aren't more fans more excited about Bryce Eldridge? Like tonight, I saw people when his first at bat, just walking down the aisle, just getting into the ballpark. Like, there's no, like, this is your homegrown number one prospect, and you're not even in your seat for his first at bat. That just tells me that the fans they're just not very educated, a lot of these fans that show up to the ballpark. Let me see here. I love when Philip gets going, he puts it all in capitals. That's BS. Our goal every year is to knock the Dodgers off the top. We're getting too content to competing for a wild card. That's lazy thinking, which leads you to a 500 record. Exactly. Whatever you aim for if you aim for the bottom of the rung and you miss, you're gonna be where the Giants are. If you aim for, and I'm not talking about what you're up here in your head, I'm talking about what you put on the field. And the Giants are aiming by what they do by playing on the field. They are saying we're not going to compete with the Dodgers. We are going to try to get one of the wild card spots. But if you really had a mindset, like I look at Joe Lacob, and soon as Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers last year, he was like going nuts. Like, I got to get a star. I got to get a star. And he was trying to get, he had KD deal done, but KD turned it down. He wasn't wanting to come back. So they got Jimmy Butler. But that's what I'm talking about. A mindset that says, we're going to go for it. You have to go for it while you have Steph Curry, because once Curry's gone, you're probably going to be at the bottom of the league for a while. So I don't know. I would like to see this team be a little bit more aggressive, going after some proven ball players. I don't know what they can do.
Yeah, and Dan, I don't know who this guy Los D is. He says that I'm bad-mouthing the Mexican League. Hey, just so you know, Los D, next year, before the Yankees games, the best team from Mexico City is going to be playing the Giants at Oracle. So I hope to see you there for 2 games. And I think one of the coaches is Sergio Romo. All right, so you got your chance next year, the 2 games, because they don't even want to play the A's anymore because they're too talented. So they're bringing a team from Mexico City. So I hope you're there for next year's spring training games, but it will be at Oracle. You just make sure that guy Los D knows about it.
Did we lose Dallas? Oh, wait. You got private check. My mic's up. Okay, he's going to reload. Okay. He'll be back in. Yeah, I'm just kind of, let's see, enjoy it because it never lasts. Pretty soon you won't come on the Giants podcast. Pretty soon you won't come on the Giants podcast to just gloat. Okay, he's talking to somebody else. Los says, I'll be there with my sombrero, brother. All right, Los. All right, and we welcome Dallas back to the stage. All right. Well, guys, let's do our players of the game. And we're Dan's Webhead. Oh, Senior asked me a question earlier. Let me see if I start it. Yeah, Dan, thoughts on Webb? I think Senior was asking, do you think Webb really wants to be here still with all this happening? I think he does. I think he's committed. I think he's probably frustrated that the year went the way it did. But my feeling is, here's what I would, okay. Here's what I would do, guys. This is controversial. I don't think the Giants would even consider this, or it's even in their mind. But hear me out. If I could do this, I take 2 paths. Again, it goes back to choosing a lane. I would either, based on what they have done with their roster construction and that they've got guys signed long-term, and we all know who we're talking about, I would go after Robert Suarez as my closer. I might even go after an Iglesias or a Helsley. And I don't know. I would stack my bullpen. Maybe I would get my bullpen going. I would try to sign Bo Bichette. I would try to sign a Kyle Schwarber as my DH. Now I got a bunch of lefties, and I would put Eldridge out in the outfield and Devers at first. I'd hope he learns first, and then I would get me. I'd try to make a deal like Ramos. I'd try to get Ramos. Maybe I'd try to get Xavier Edwards from the Marlins. And if I can get Alcantara somehow in a deal, I just load up and I would go for it. And I would, Schwarber's not going to be a long-term deal, probably 2-3 years. He's getting up there. And then I'd have this powerhouse lineup, and I'd get a couple of guys that make contact like Edwards and Bichette, and I'd have a second and third, and I would just run with this thing, and I'd have a couple of contact guys. I'd have power. I'd have my pitching. I'd have a bullpen. And if I can't get any of that done, I would try to just move off of Chapman, Adames, and I would just try to rebuild it. I would try to rebuild it and just say it's going to be a process. It's going to take us a few years. We're going to build around Devers. And if Devers says he doesn't want to be here because they're rebuilding, then I'd move Devers. But you got to go one or the other. If you run this back the way it's been for the last 3 to 4 years, really it's been this way since 2016, right? If we're being honest, they've been old and kind of fading since 2016. I would just break it up. But that's the one thing I don't think they will do. They will stay mid. And that is my biggest frustration with this team. They have not decided to either go all in and we're going to spend like the Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers. I mean, this is San Francisco, okay? It's a park that can draw you 3 million every year. And it supports the team. It supports a winning team. And if you're not going to do that, then rebuild it. But how long of a process is it going to take if you keep doing what they're doing now with these mid-level guys that are just not cutting it? You got to add stars to make the lineup longer. So Chapman is no longer hitting in the middle of the order. I don't know. That's my take. I would do one or the other. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't see that happening, signing all those guys.
I don't see it either.
And they're definitely not going to blow it up because that's just admitting failure a year into what you started here. So I think the best case for the Giants is, best case, what they're going to do, I think, is they're going to make incremental improvements. You need a right fielder. Maybe you need a second baseman. Maybe you need a left fielder. And maybe they'll get more creative. Maybe they'll find a way to get rid of Chapman and Ramos and plug some other guys in that are more athletic and try and get younger and try and get, a little more contact and complementary players. We'll see if they can do that. Probably not, though. You're probably going to see some additions, a catcher that could hit a little bit to pair with Bailey, a right fielder, and then it's going to come down to the pitching. Can they build a rotation with 5 guys that can win any given day? If they can do that, then they have a chance, even with this team. It wasn't the hitting sucked for months at a time, but it was the pitching that broke down, that worked early in the year, that wasn't working later in the year. The pitching needs to get better if they want to have a chance to win. So I think if they can add some complementary pieces and really beef up the rotation and the bullpen, you have a solid rotation and you got some arms in the pen, then they'll have a chance. They're not going to beat the Dodgers. That's just not going to happen. But they're going to at least, maybe they can get 10 games over 500, if they have the depth in the pitching staff. So, I mean, that's what I see as the best case scenario that we're going to see. Now, obviously,
I think that's
throw money at the problem and do better, but I don't see the ownership group doing that.
I don't
They're not going to spend money.
I don't either. They've spent money the last 2 years, and it's got them fourth place. Remember, they went and got the Soler, and then they got Chapman, and then they got somebody else, Snell. And they were still 500 under. They were 80 and 82. So, and then this year they go out and spend more money, and not annually this year, but long term they committed to more money.
Long term. But that's a sign that what you're doing is not working. You need to make changes.
Yeah.
The management has got to change. If you spend all this money and you're still 500, then you can't. It's not sustainable. You can't keep rolling that out there. So I think you got to see change there. But they always, every season they come out and they say, yeah, our goal is to win the division. We're going to beat the Dodgers. Well, the Dodgers spent over double what you spent this year on their payroll. So how do you compete with that?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think of this comment? I think she's right. Jill is right. Low batting average for Rafi and high strikeout because he does not have the green monster to bounce off and over. Instead, in Oracle, he tries to hit home runs every at bat. He looks, that easy stroke to left field is no longer available because he could just pop that up in the air in left field and it's an automatic double.
That's true. He needs to adjust his swing for the ballpark. He's not hitting it into the cove. He doesn't have a splash hit yet, does he?
No, he does not.
I mean, the attraction for a left-hander with a lot of power is to go up on that landing, and he hasn't really adapted his swing to that because left field is tough, especially when the wind is, the conditions are certain. And then if you go to center field,
that's tough.
Even harder. That's really tough. That's way deep.
Anywhere you go, if you look at the Oracle dimensions, I think it's 385. Is it 385 in left center and 415 to the? I'll have to look it up. But that's the area that it just dies. Oracle Park dimensions. Okay, yeah, it is 354 to left field, kind of 339 down the line, 334 into.
Yeah. And that's a pretty easy home run down the left field line, but for a left-hander, that's not common.
Yeah. If you look at the dimensions of the park, there's a couple spots where most of the home runs go, and this is what drawing a blank his name.
Evers?
No, he's radio.
And that does the Sharks, who has his own podcast.
Yeah, Brody Brazil. He did a really good
yeah.
show on it where the balls go. So if I show you can you see my cursor on here at all?
No. Yes, we can.
Okay. So the darn dimensions are not. All right. Well, why did they all go away? There it is. Okay. So the let me just hit it up here. Okay, here we go. So most of the home runs at Oracle are right from here to the line, from like right here, like 365 to 339, and then they're right here in this right field gap where you're talking about. There's no home runs hardly from here. There is a few in straightaway center because it's shortened. Used to be more 401 or something, but this is killer right here, right there, and then right here. Just this whole area is just kind of died, and it's not a great park for guys that are aren't either dead pull hitters either way. If you're a dead pull hitter, right or left-handed, it's a great hitter's park for home runs because I think Alex Bregman, he's a dead kind of pull hitter down left field line. He would have been good for Oracle. But Lou, your final thoughts on this, what the Giants should do, and then we'll get out of here and we'll pick our players of the game.
First of all, Giovanni, you're talking about Chapman like he's an all-star every year. He has one all-star. One. Okay. When he, if you take away his 1 year when he had the best stats, when the ball was juice, he's not an all-star. There is no such thing as an all-star just for defense. So let's get rid of that comment. One all-star. He's been playing.
Yeah, there it is. Years. Put some respect on his name. Okay.
Okay.
What's his name, Lou? What's his name? Matt what?
Oh, Crapman. He's pathetic.
Put some
yeah, I'll put some respect. All right. Getting into what the Giants are going to do. Giants aren't going to do anything. They're going to keep the same team back. There's already talk they're going to bring Verlander. I just want to remind you, Verlander is going to be 43 next year. He's 3-11. After today's ERA is back respectable about 4. So we're bringing him back. Okay. We still don't know what we're going to do about Ray. Ray, the second half of the season, is 2-5 with an ERA of 4.98. Okay. Then we have Webb, Roberts, Cy Young, the greatest guy in the world. This year he's been average. I think he's 14-11. He's not an ace, but he's solid for us. And I think we look at him better because we have nobody else. We don't have a closer. We have a guy that everyone absolutely hates. We don't have an eighth inning guy. I'm not even sure if any of the guys that are pitching right now should even be on the team when you really look at it. Beck's been horrible this year, and he's been average at best, wouldn't be on another team. Gage, let the league offseason get to know him. He's nothing. The guys we got in the trade were early, he might be our stopper. These guys are just very minute bullpen. This bullpen needs to be just like our outfield. All needs to be new because they're not difference makers. That's why the Giants blow 4-2 leads late. That's why, it's bad. I know we traded our 8th inning guy, but we had no one to replace him. We have a guy, we traded Duvall, who I didn't like all year because I knew last year he's been horrible in New York. Okay. Now we got a guy that when he comes in, you're waiting for him to blow it. It's just one of those things. So it's, I think the Giants are going to come up with some excuses. Dan said last week with a letter, hey, we tried, we're going to have an exciting offseason. But until the Giants do something, and that's why I'm worried about Eldridge. If you take Eldridge out, I've been hearing about all these guys for the last 10 years, the new superstar. I'll start with Harrison. Oh, he's an ex-Mad Bum. He was never even close. He can't even sniff his jock. Give me a break. He's now with Boston. That's fine. Okay, but everything the Giants say and Susan says and Alex, all these upcomers, I don't believe in them because everything they've said, they're like Robert. They'll give you 6 predictions. They're always wrong. And, everyone's excited the Giants won this single A. Do you guys know when the Giants won it before? 5 years ago. And those guys on that team, they're on us now. I think we have 6 guys that won the California League. They're not difference makers. And this is single A.
Who are you talking about? Schmidt and Ramos or
no, it was who was on it because they had it on TV the other day.
Probably Ramos.
I think Ramos was a year up already, but Casey was on it. Koss. I'd have to look on her 40.
I don't think Koss was in the organization. And that's another thing.
Caliber. And by the way, nothing's been the same. When you get rid of when we got rid of our stud player who's now with Atlanta, we're getting rid of guys that go other places and they just become good players. I think it's just our overall system. We keep talking
who's our stud player that's with Atlanta?
Oh my God. He was our fastest player and he was our best left-hand hitter that ran. Here, let me get to him.
Do you stump Dallas? I can't think of anybody in Atlanta that used to be.
Who it is.
He was,
what's his name? Hold on.
It sounds pretty good. Maybe we can get
Brett
back.
Wisely. I had to listen to that for 4 years. 4 years.
Oh, I thought you were saying somebody good.
Same thing with Dubon. Oh, he's the shits. Let's send him to Houston. The guy won a World Series, and the guy's a solid player. Like, we get rid of these guys. I think it's our coaches and our fundamentals. And again, it all goes back. Look at Luke.
Is Brett Wisely blowing up in Atlanta?
Oh yeah, you know how it is.
Is he with Atlanta now? They picked him up.
Of course, because we finally got rid of him. Got to get rid of the dead guys that we've been waiting 5 years. As Dan always says, if they don't make it to the majors by 28, what are we waiting for?
No, my key is 25, and
Okay,
that's
then
why
get
I'm
rid
not.
of them so somebody
That's why
can
I'm
be
not
promoted
high
as
on.
a
I'm not high on Peguero, and I'm not high on Koss. Koss. When I say I'm not high on him, I'm not high on him like, oh, he's the answer as an everyday player. Koss is a utility guy that can fill in here and there, and he's valuable in that. But don't tell me he's an everyday player, please. No. I don't want to hear it. There's a reason.
Fitzgerald last year was the talk of the town. The guy's not even in baseball anymore.
Well, he's in AAA. He's in AAA, but yeah, look. This is the issue I have with the Giants. They do not value their younger players and give them a shot. Matos had a really good spring, and he beat out Yaz, but he never had a shot at the job. And so Yaz becomes the everyday player by default because 75% of the pitchers are right-handed. So Matos not given a fair shot from day one. Casey Schmidt, they give Fitzgerald the job, and it's like, who's Tyler Fitzgerald? How about a competition? Fine. If Fitzgerald wins it, play Fitzgerald. If Schmidt wins it, play Schmidt. If somebody else comes up, somebody else comes in and wins it. Yeah. And then they did it with Birdsong. Birdsong pitched great. They pitched him out of the pen. He never really got going as a starter while he was going as a starter. So, yeah, I mean, what did they end up doing as starters? They went Webb, Ray, Verlander, the three, and then they went Roop, and who was the fifth starter?
Hicks.
This year. Oh, Hicks, that's right.
Yeah, Hicks.
And I was yelling at that. Imagine if they would have just went Roop and Birdsong at the beginning. What happens if Birdsong actually carried his hot spring into the season and had 2 or 3 good starts, and he got going and it built up his confidence? But no, they go with these guys because of roster politics, because Hicks wanted to be a starter when we all knew he was never a starter. And it's like, geez. Yeah, that's all right. So we all
good bailing out on him though. Good, he managed to get rid of him.
Good thing, yeah. So we're all in agreement. We think the Giants do very little in the offseason. They add a little bit here. They try and
surprise us.
It's going to be telling.
Yeah,
if they do nothing, then we have our answer.
The first telling is going to be, what is Buster made of on this Sunday or next Monday, a week from today. If we wake up on Tuesday next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, playoffs are starting and Melvin has not been let go, then we can probably assume that he's going to stay. Because usually when you make a decision to move off of a guy, they do it quickly.
Yeah, for some reason I get the impression that Posey will wait until he has someone else lined up and then make the move.
We'll see.
So it might take a little longer.
Could be. That could happen. All right, give me your players of the game. You guys go ahead and start, Dallas, and we'll go around to Lou and then myself.
I start?
You start.
All right, well.
Flip a coin.
Players of the game. I'll go with Ramos. Got off to the hot start.
Okay.
Gave us all that good feeling right at the beginning. And then Bailey had an RBI. Give him one. And man, my guy Peguero, 2 strikeouts. Gave him an inning. I like him. That's it.
All right.
All right.
Lou, before you go,
Yep.
I got my player of the game. I'm going with the gal on the right of the screen. There we go. All right.
She's AI, but yeah, no, that's a good call. I will do my number 3 star. I thought Beck pitched good. I know, he sort of got hey, he still pitched too.
He's your guy.
He's our number 3 guy. Plus, because of him, I'm going to be drinking for $150 worth. But I think Beck will be my number 3 star. Plus, you got to remember, he started just the other day. So, again, another good move with the Giants, have him as a starter and then come back. My number 2 star will be Bailey. I thought Bailey played good. I just didn't like his second hit where he thought he had a double automatically and put his head down and never even made an attempt. And all of a sudden, oh, shit, he was only out by 40 feet. But at least he hustled. So he's my number 2. And then my number 1, I'm not going to give it to Ramos. I thought Devers going the other way. It's been a long time since I've seen him hit a bomb, so I know it's manageable. Went to left field, tried to bring him back. So he's my number 1 star.
So who'd you go with, Dallas? Ramos, Bailey, and who?
And Peguero.
All right. I'll go with Lou's guy, Tristan Beck. He didn't give up any runs, did he?
No, it was all Verlander.
Yeah.
The dreaded 5th.
Well, who gave up the runs? He gave up 6. Oh, he gave up 6 runs, but 4 earned. Okay. So I'll go Beck just for the heck of it, and I will go with. Let's see who else. I'm going to go number 2. Christian Koss. He came in to pinch run, and I just kind of like the way he ran out there, jogged onto the field, and took Eldridge's spot after a walk. Looked like he was really kind of jogged out there with a nice strut, so didn't advance or anything, but Christian Koss, number 2. And
maybe you could steal once in a while. I'm just saying, you're down a run, you're at first. I mean, why do you bring a pinch runner in if you're not even going to attempt?
Yeah, and then the number 1 star goes to the biggest idiot of the night, and that would be me for dropping JoJo Romero right before the game, and he got the save in my fantasy team. I lost 7 points like an idiot. So, yeah, I get the number 1 star for stupidity tonight. All right, that's it, guys. Got any final thoughts?
Why didn't Koss try and steal?
Because they were only down 1.
Oh, but
didn't want to
1 run. Doesn't that tie the game?
Yeah, but that's not sound fundamental baseball.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to bunt either, like the Cardinals did like 3 times just to try and move a guy over. That's giving away outs. Yeah, you can't give away outs. That's right.
No, we get enough of those on our own.
Exactly. When a strut gets you into the top 3, it's a bad loss. That's right. That's right, man. Hey, they picked 6 guys. I mean, I got 3 other guys. It's hard to find 9 different guys on a losing team.
And as far as bad losses go, we've seen some really bad losses. This was not that bad of a loss. It's just
this is over.
It's just a loss.
Yeah. No Star Schmidt for giving out a losing run. I didn't see the whole game. There was Monday Night Football happened to be on too, and a little bit more entertainment value than watching San Francisco Giants play out the right. Every single person in the organization is in-house. They're either Farhan holdovers, table scraps from the Saban Evans era, or alumni. Where are the fresh eyes? We don't want fresh eyes. We wouldn't want to grab some fresh eyes from what some other teams are doing that actually have really young and exciting players. Come on. We like our slow, striking out, power hitting, unathletic team that can't steal bases. That's the Giants. Nothing like it.
And please get a new slogan for next year. I'm going to write that when Larry Bear says it. Give me a new slogan. Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, let's get a new slogan for sure. Yeah, at least we're not getting blown out with losses. That's a moral victory, right?
Yep. Just
5 more games to go.
Yeah. What else do we got? All right, I guess we're back tomorrow night, guys, for more punishment. We'll be back 9:30 tomorrow night. I swear one of these shows is going to last 22 minutes in honor of Will Clark, because we're going to get out of here quick one of these days this week, because it's about all I can take. But thanks for watching, guys. Give it a like. Make sure you like on the way out. It helps with the algorithms. We appreciate you being here. Yes, we're average together. That's our new slogan, Lou. There it is. Gen Y has come up with it. We're average together. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow night at 9:30.